Hello, my name's Hemingway Jones and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be speaking about one of the most famous and most ubiquitous fountain pens out there. I'm talking about the Lamy Safari. This is probably my most requested review, so I'm really excited to dig in. First, let's get this word's pronunciation out of the way. Lamy. It's Lamy, I believe. I'm probably going to say Lamy, and maybe some other versions too. So feel free to criticize me in the comments. So Wolfgang Fabian designed this pen in the early 80s, and it's designed for beginner students to learn how to write correctly. Nevertheless, the design is so timeless, so interesting, it's so easily adaptable to different colors and finishes that it's had life for more than 40 years already. And there are very interesting elements to this pen that we're going to get into, not the least of which is its general form. When you look at it, it is so cleverly designed. It has beautiful balance. That's one of the things that I appreciate greatly. It suits your hand, any hand, perfectly. And it's a joy to write with.
So if we take a look at the website here on Goulet Pens, you can see that they have all the different colors and the nibs available. It looks like it's a little bit under $30. They also have the converter you can get as well.
Now, when it's shipped, it has a piece of cardboard inserted that keeps the barrel of the pen from pushing the cartridge into the feed. Now that's brilliant because when you get it, and I wish I had a new one to show you, you can simply remove that ring of cardboard and then screw the barrel in, and it'll push the cartridge in there and you can write right away. So I often recommend this for beginner fountain pen enthusiasts who want to start writing right away and don't want to learn how to use a piston-filled pen or don't want to learn how to use a converter. With this, you can simply push it in and go. Let's talk a bit about the design. It's very avant-garde, and although it was designed in the early 80s, it doesn't look dated at all. It could be from any decade. So the first thing that you have is a nib that's very stylized. It's like taking the idea of a fountain pen nib and bringing it down to basics. So it is beautifully crafted in stainless steel, but it is not ornate. It is very functional. And that goes right down to the fact that it'll slide right off and you can change nibs extremely easily. So it is also designed for the feed to come out easily. So you can swap nibs, swap feeds, no problem at all. You could keep one of these pens going and writing for many, many years. So the pen itself is made out of ABS plastic in many different colors and finishes. It can be shiny or it can be a matte finish like this mango version. The clip is chrome, or some cases it's coated. Regardless, it is a very good clip that will clip to your clothes or your paper, your journal very well. The pen looks great capped or posted. It is an incredibly well-designed, well-balanced pen. The other thing that's nice is that it's designed for quick action, so you can pop the cap right off and get writing. No screws or threads to worry about. It also comes in a host of colors, from white, gray, black, brown to pastel, to mango, to all sorts of bright pinks and whatnot. And different years they put out special editions, so you could collect these pens forever. If you enjoy obsessing over fountain pens, you could obsess over the Lamy Safari alone and have enough material out there to interest you for the rest of your life. It's that varied. So the next thing is the ergonomically molded grip, which keeps your thumb and finger in the right place for long, extended, comfortable periods of writing. So it's a very comfortable pen, and it's meant to be used ambidextrous as well. There is also a very nice window into the ink capacity, whether you're using a cartridge or a converter. Although I find it's a bit easier if you hold it up to a light source to see what kind of ink is actually inside. I've heard from many of my followers on TikTok that these pens are very popular in grammar schools in Germany, and my wife actually used one at uni in the UK. So they can be found everywhere, which is one of the things that's really neat about these pens. I love how they're virtually everywhere, and almost every fountain pen enthusiast owns one. This pen is one of the most comfortable pens to write with. It's something about the weight and the balance. I don't think my hand has ever grown tired writing with this pen. It's the perfect size and the perfect weight. So I quite enjoy it, and I use it very often. I think the real test in how much you like a pen is how often you use it, especially once you have a collection of over 10, 20 pens. Which are the ones that you reach for repeatedly, and for which reason? So I especially love mine right now that has the calligraphy nib, because I like line variation, and it does such a great job, and it's so easy to use. I often go after pens that are incredibly smooth. Well, the calligraphy nib is still smooth, which is amazing. And this one is medium. This one is very smooth as well. So it's also a joy to write with. I like to journal, and I often balance my journal on my leg while I'm seated. And it's easier with a light pen to produce the sort of lines and repetitive motion that one needs to do to journal for a long period of time. I also like that the nibs are easy to replace. In fact, I bought this with a fine nib, and I swapped it out for Lamy's calligraphy nib, which is a very nice, interesting nib that produces nice line variation. These generally come in extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. But you can find that calligraphy nib out there as well. It's around $14. Posting is not a problem. It doesn't throw the weight off. I don't feel it's very back heavy at all. I think it's rather well balanced, and it feels very nice posted. For me, unposted, it's too small. I don't like pens that feel that small, but it's perfect weight and balance. So my favorite configuration of the Lamy Safari is this one. It has a calligraphy nib that I swapped off of a Lamy Joy, and that was super easy to do. It has a Z28 converter, so I can fill it from any ink bottle. And it's in this fun mango color. Too many of my pens are black or gray and very plain, so I'm going with much more bright and bold colors now. And I love this one. So this other version of the Lamy Safari that I'm using, I borrowed from my wife. And this is in the light green pastel. It has this beautiful chrome clip, and it's shiny green plastic. She has it filled with the Sailor Manio ink, which is like writing with watercolors. It's a pastel ink for a pastel pen. She has it beautifully matched.
One of the best things about this pen is that it's super easy to maintain. This pen is incredibly easy to clean. I keep a jar handy, I fill it with warm water, and then I act as if I'm filling it up with ink, using the water to flush it out thoroughly. It usually takes 4 or 5 tries to get it to run clear, and once it does, I know that the pen is clean. Now, the brilliant thing about the Lamy Safari is it's easy to rinse the nib and then disassemble the pen to make sure it's even that much more clean. So each part comes apart so easily. You can pop out the converter and easily remove the feed and the nib. Well, I actually had to use a bit of rubber because my hands were slippery. But once I did, you can see now that the nib is sliding right off. You can rinse all that. You almost feel as if you could throw it into the dishwasher. That plastic is so tough. So here I'm simply rinsing the feed and each individual section of the pen. It's so easy to do. You can use a little bit of cleaning solution from your favorite pen dealer if you'd like. I generally just use water. I'm always sure to rinse out the cap too. And then just let it all dry on a paper towel overnight and you'll be ready to go. Now that we have the pen clean, let's fill it up with some ink. In this case, Diamine Oxblood, my favorite color. And I'm so happy to be able to say it here because on TikTok, I can't say Oxblood without getting a community violation. So hopefully that won't happen here or on YouTube. But it's a beautiful color of ink. So simply immerse the nib into the ink and twist the piston of the converter until it fills. Sometimes I do it twice to get all of the air out. Once done, I squeeze out a couple of drops to make sure all the air is out and that the nib is primed for writing. And then try to knock off the excess and of course clean it thoroughly. It's great if you have a microfiber to do this with, but paper towel is fine. What are you going to do? A shop towel is fine as well.
I think it has to be said also that if you're someone who loses pens, that this is a perfect fountain pen for you because at least if you lose it, you're not losing that much of an investment. You're only into it for $30 or so. Losing a Mont Blanc is much more painful. So let's hope you don't lose a pen, but if you did, it's slightly easier to recover from if you haven't invested too much. And for this $30, you get a lot of pen. You get diminished returns with fountain pens. Now, I personally think that once you get to around the $200 mark, that's where the returns really start to diminish. Now, for your $30, you get a writing experience that's as good as any other pen. It's pretty much just materials from that point onward. You'll get the same smoothness out of any other price as you would here.
Considering how wonderfully this pen writes, it is truly one of the best values out there.
So not being left-handed, I don't have any personal experience with this myself. However, Lamy's one of those brands that has a left-handed nib and says that their pens can be used for left-handed people. So it is a pen that you should consider if you are left-handed. And also, one of the things I do recommend is to get a fine nib or an extra fine and to use quick dry ink. There are many available by Noodlers and others, and that way you have less of a chance of smearing. So perhaps a Lamy Safari with a left-handed nib and quick drying ink could be a way for you as a left-handed person to use a fountain pen. But I can't say so with 100% certainty, not being left-handed myself. If you do give it a try, would you please let me know in the comments or find me on TikTok and let me know how it worked out for you, because I'm always looking for solutions for left-handed people. So here are some great things about it. It's great design. It is very tough. This plastic is very hard to break. It's almost like a G-Shock. Imagine if a Casio G-Shock were a fountain pen. That's what this is. It's very hard to hurt it. It's a great smooth writing experience. It's a good weight. If you use the cartridges, it's easy to find them, and it's a great price. Another plus is that it's very easy to clean. You can take this apart completely without damaging it. There's no delicate lines on the back of the feed that you can hurt by pulling it out. It's just really easy to sort of field strip this pen, clean it immaculately, and get it back into action. That is definitely a plus to this pen. Now here's some negative points. Not everyone likes a light plastic pen. It does feel a little bit, I want to be careful here because I don't want to say cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It's well designed. It's a nice plastic. It feels a little bit on the like Pilot Varsity level. It feels a little bit like a Bic pen or something in its weight. So that could be a detractor. I sometimes wish it were made out of metal. You could say that the ink window is a negative in a sense. It's really hard to see your ink level unless you shine a light right through it, but it is a nice design touch, so it's hard to really call it a negative. Another negative for me is the ergonomic grip. I don't mind it, but there's that thought that I don't mind it. I would prefer it if it had a regular cylinder-shaped grip. Just for me, it's a little bit of a distraction, and it's sort of reminding me that I'm not holding my pen correctly. And I just would prefer it if it were otherwise. So do I recommend this pen? I do. I think everyone should have it, and it's hard not to have one when your investment's only $30. You could write with only this pen and enjoy a great fountain pen experience. One of the things I really like about this pen, it's very much a no-nonsense pen. It has a perfect design. It's not over-designed. It's not super fancy, and it's not super plain. It's just perfectly crafted. And it's fun and easy to write with, easy to clean, and easy to customize. And I think customization is very important. I think everyone wants to leave a mark, literally, and do it in their own way. This pen allows you to do that for not much money. So having all the different colors makes it fun to obsess over and makes it interesting to go track down inks that match. And occasionally they do issue special editions that have complementary inks. Mango, for instance, was released with a mango ink, which I unfortunately did not get, but I do have the pen and I quite like it. So that's one of the fun things. I mean, for me, my passion for pens in part is the whole idea of variety and all the different ways of trying different nibs, different ink colors, and combining them in interesting and new ways. And this pen certainly does that. So in conclusion, the Lamy Safari is one of the most popular pens for a reason. It's a truly great writing instrument. It's a lot of fun to customize. You can find so many different versions, so many nibs, so many inks, and it's just a joy to use and a joy to write with. I think we will be seeing Lamy Safaris for years to come, and I'm happy to see which new colors are going to come out each year. I hope you are too. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know what else you'd like to see in future videos and whether or not you love the Lamy Safari as much as I do. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.